onto the podium, really. I'm not doing that, so I didn't know. Nancy put it over to the screen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I would like to call the meeting to order. Nancy, can you consider roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Here.
Counselor Dufflock.
Here.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Here.
Counselor Wheeler.
Here.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Here.
Counselor Tennick.
Here.
Mayor Sype.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to request an amendment to tonight's agenda. I'm disturbed by the events and emergency communications regarding incident of Lifeways that occurred on Friday evening. I first found out about this incident through a patron who sent me a message on Facebook. I also received text from the school district about it. That was two updates. I would have never have known we had a safety concern in McNair. To me, this is unacceptable. Further, we later learned the man has allegedly assaulted and strangled a resident and then escaped from what was supposed to be able to do so. I also find this to be unacceptable. This evening, I would like to add an agenda item to discuss the emergency communication plan in the city, and a separate agenda item to discuss the safety plan, questioning Lifeways. I enter a motion. I'm sorry. I would like to entertain the motion to approve the addition of discussion items 10.1 emergency communications and 10.2 safety planning questions for Lifeways. In addition, adding a 5.2 report. They will the 5.2 again for the LOC report from
Councilors Wheeler and Funderburk.
this time looking for
Before we make the motion, sir, do we have the appropriate people here to have that discussion with?
yes, please.
We have people from Lifeways here.
Well, it's just communication. Sorry, let's raise that. Questions that we should be asking, we should have staff that ask two licenses. So questions we need to have our staff understand, we can deliver those questions to Lifeways.
Mayor Sype, can you speak into the microphone? It has been really hard to hear your motions.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
So we're gonna have a discussion about a discussion with Lifeways.
Correct. Questions for them.
Is this the right forum to have that, sir?
I believe a public session is the correct one to have this pressing of public issue. If you disagree, I will entertain a different motion without agenda item 10.2. But I believe this is the correct.
And what was your other one?
Yeah.
10.1 is emergency communications and what that looks like.
I would support that one. You know, what's our communication with them and what does that look like? I don't know that I would necessarily support the other one. I'm trying to caught me off guard, sir. I'm trying to get it in my head.
Understood.
Being part of an emergency communication in regards to natural disasters, what I was trying to type this as.
Yep, natural disaster, or in this case, an escaped person who assaulted someone from a mental institution or military.
I don't disagree, but having a prison here too, sir, we don't really have that kind of communication either.
Well, that's what I'm going to clarify is what is our actual emergency response plan look like? How do we respond to that correctly as a community? Obviously, it's very effective.
Would there be a way to? Is this one? No. it's- Would there be a way to ask staff to basically bring kind of that information so we could have formal discussion on it?
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know, the police department would bring that to us.
I mean, that's gonna be our point of contact.
Right, I just wanted that we had a discussion item about that, so we can ask some questions and then get feedback later from the city staff. Just as an initial discussion of what we do, what we're looking for as a council.
I just think it's a bigger thing, you know, because it encompasses the prison as well, so if we have those entities within our community. I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, you know what I'm saying?
I think it's important to know that's a discussion item. It's not necessarily that we're making any decisions today, we're not making final decisions. We can have it be a further discussion and what those people come and present to us what our emergency plan actually looks like, which is fine. But this is an initial discussion, so the city staff can recognize the gravity of the situation, full depth, and then can understand the impact that it has in our community. And come back and give us some directive questions and answer some of the questions we had from our discussion, and continue that discussion further.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very similar to when we just saw the hurricanes and stuff like that happen in our country. I kind of inquired about the same thing, like what is our plan as a community and what are those, do we have something in the works for us to have this discussion again? Because I felt like it was pertinent, and one of those things that we can't just bat an eye at, basically.
Right.
So I feel like we're kind of already in the works of that. The conversation was gonna start Q1 next year. Is that correct?
Well, and I don't disagree that we have some communication. How many years has Viking been?
I'm not sure. It's been a while.
No,
2007 is when that's.
2007. Okay. We've not had any discussion since then.
They came back to the planning commission in 2018.
And I think this is just a general conversation. You know, likewise, it just happened to be the most recent incident, but I think there's other emergency communication things that we should have been using. And I'm curious, like, what is our emergency communication looking like? How is it being handled? Is it on Facebook? Is it through? I know me and Dave have had one-on-one conversation about, you know, a mass communication system. I'm curious of where we're at with that. What does it look like? How does this happen? How does this evolve? What is this like with the police department? How does this involve the fire department? How do we have a broader communication system that is working together to the community? I think that is why I'm asking for a quick discussion topic about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I wanted to encompass as well the prison, because if we have somebody escape from there, obviously it's gonna be the same, right? So, and I don't know what that looks like, but I mean, maybe that's a broader discussion we can have, but I think if we encompass not only the prison, but we, you know, as Ms. Weaver brought up, was it look like we have a flood? It look like we have.
Yeah, like you said, fire.
Just a
Fire.
All of it.
Fire, correct. And what does that communication look like?
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's just for tonight, it's a general conversation of what is.
10-1.
10-1. 10-1.
10-1.
Yeah. 10-1 and 5-2 for the LOC report.
Just, are you looking for more?
Yep.
I got it in my head.
If you gotta go for it.
You got it.
You know,
We'll see.
I've got it close written down. Can you just,
Hang on.
scrap one out?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented with the addition of 5.2, adding the LOC report from the counselors, also adding a 10.1 discussion involving emergency preparedness in our town and communication.
Thank you for the motion. If I get a second, a motion, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on tonight to 5.1 recognition of Sergeant Dyke, Officer Newcomb, my Fire Chief Grant.
Mr. Mayor, Council, City Manager, staff, community, Chief Bridge, thank you for the opportunity here to present. Recognition for not just the police department, but also some of our firefighters this evening. But it's kind of like a planning meetings and power lines or something. It's exciting. Well, it's exciting here for me as a fire chief to be able to recognize some of our public safety officers. On November 6th, we were alerted to a fire department in downtown Umatilla. Umatilla Police Department Sergeant Dyke and Officer Dufflop arrived on scene, assessed the situation, and recognized that there was somebody trapped in an apartment. They attempted to make access with no safety equipment other than their law enforcement PPE, which is very limited in these environments. That information was passed on to dispatch. Dispatch notified Engine 11's crew as they were arriving on that there was a person trapped inside the apartment, unable to get out. Company officer made a decision to stretch a hand line, force entry into the door, actually make fire attack, and perform search and rescue with a thermal imaging camera, found the victim in the back bedroom, and removed that victim to safety. During this process of fire attack, Sergeant Dyke and Officer Dufflop continued to evacuate the exposure units in the apartment, thus making a significant difference in the outcome. Several people in harm's way. If it wasn't for our officers' dedication and devotion to service, we may have had a serious injury or worst case scenario, a fatality. So on behalf of the fire department tonight, I would like to recognize not only the fire department, but also the two officers that assisted us greatly on the scene that evening. So with this, gentlemen, if I could get all of you up front, Officer Dufflop, Sergeant Dyke, Firefighter Titus, Firefighter Indian. One of our firefighters that was on scene, our nozzleman, Ezekiel Gonzalez Supluta, was unable to attend tonight. He is working in Morrow County Ambulance. However, the recognition, I will read, I'm going to hand everybody their certificate, and then I will read the recognition. In recognition of your courageous and life-saving actions at the scene of an apartment fire on November 6, 2024, we are very proud of you and your heroic actions taken to save your fellow citizens. You are a prime example of the pride we take in our job and the selfless acts that we take to help others in need. On behalf of the Umatilla Rural Fire Protection District, the Board of Directors of the Fire Department, and as the Fire Chief, I thank you for your selfless service to our community, and I want to start with a round of applause. Chief Bridge, thank you very much, sir. And with that, we will now allow you to have the rest of the city council meeting back. Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity to recognize these fine, outstanding gentlemen that serve our community day in, day out, 24/7. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you
very
so
much. On that same note, I would like to mention as well as say, thank you again for your service and your continued representation of our community. We're lucky to have all of you service members serving our community, and it's definitely one of the situations where I thought I would be ending was getting to watch Hunter, one of my childhood best friends, save a life for our community. And it's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say something too? And this is what makes me so happy. Besides that, I had two of you in my class in 4th grade. But the point is how proud I am and how that was one of the things discussed in the League of Oregon City conferences, how we are having such a hard time keeping our kids here. Like they go away and then they don't come back. So it just makes my heart so happy that you have returned, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm not gonna say that I'm a proud papa, but I'm a very proud. Congratulations, guys. Thank you
Yes.
again. All you firefighters. doing.
Yes, thank you.
Very much for everything. Thank you.
And we're down to general announcements, starting with the LOC reports from Councilor Funderburk and Councilmember Heenan.
You guys can take off.
Yeah, you were here for the fire department. For
Yeah.
the recognition, feel free to
We understand.
now, there's a lot of other things.
There's a
Long
lot.
meetings, so we're here just for that, to celebrate with your members. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You guys.
Okay. Councilmember Heenan.
Do I just stand here?
Yep.
I've never done this. Okay, so I just wanted to share some things about the League of Oregon Cities Conference. I'm very excited to share, and I know that I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to talk fast. So I have grown to look forward to this conference every year. It is a great time to network with others. The best thing is spending time with like Ashley this year and David this year. Last year I spent it with Rourke. He had no choice. I dragged him around and he wasn't sure about me, but you had a great time. Yeah. Yes, it was great. So I enjoy that because I feel like it's a great time, relaxing environment and enjoying each other's company. And it's not just always business. Secondly, I enjoyed the speakers. I enjoyed this conference because the speakers are just well chosen, like the keynote, just it can apply to my own personal life as well. Talked about and that such thought-provoking and challenging things. He made me think about how I lead. And one thing he commented on is good leaders accelerate by changing direction. So it's like when there's a need to change direction, we're going to do that. And I just really appreciate that. And also, a lot of times we are so stuck on a short-term win with how society is today with those quick TikToks and those cute, everything's so quick on social media. And sometimes, and this is what I even see in my students, is like they don't want to persevere and take longer than like 10 seconds on something. But instead of sticking with, we need to stick with a long-term plan or project to see it through. And I think that's a great thing, even though it looks like this is not going well, but sticking with it. And I thought that was great. Another person talked about, goes with what we were talking about, the this whole safety thing. John Biles spoke about the Almeida fire and lessons learned from that. And it was very, very interesting. And I'm keeping my notes on all that. And it's interesting that it came up right now for this. But he had some great summary statements about relationships matter. And I feel like that we've really worked, especially, our staff here have worked at building these relationships with other entities within our region. And I love that we have that, because he goes, that matters, and that is what really helped them. Be prepared to be on your own for a while. He said it takes a while for the help to come. So, and also to finally be demanding for things. The closing speaker was also really good. He made another statement about relationships, identify, value, and measure effective collaboration as progress toward rural prosperity. I love that. Talks again about collaborating with others. And again, I am very proud of what our city has done with collaborating with, again, like other agencies and entities. Have a shared understanding of our issues and shared goals within our whole region. And I really liked about this was around our rural areas. And that was the one thing I've spoken about, the young men that have come back and are now working in our town. It's like keeping the youth, getting them trained, having them stay here instead of leaving. And also another big issue was, of course, housing that was brought up. I also went to an excellent workshop for counselors. It was talked about issues going all over across the state, and it sounded like a lot of the same things, dealing with houselessness, just making sure that we also have different things like land use training. I thought that was very interesting with a lot of they said a lot of parks are having to, anyway, something really interesting in the works. So I wanted to bring that up. Let's see. Oh, and I learned we were a medium-sized city now. I didn't know that. I was planning on going to the small city thing, and then David goes, "No, we're medium-sized." I'm like, "What?" So that was quite exciting. I should have kept track of my time, but I'm even skipping some of my stuff. The fourth good thing that I really enjoyed. Oh, one of the speakers was really good on ChatGPT. I always thought it was such a negative thing, especially in school, when they sound like professors, and I'm like, I know this is not you. Using them in document, I mean, he just had all these fabulous ways to make it work for you, and I just enjoyed his talk. It was very good. I think I'm on 4 things now, probably not, but 4, my hotel was fabulous. Thank you, Nancy. You do such a great job. The food and snacks at the conference are always fabulous. You eat well there. My favorite thing though, and Ashley and David can attest to this, is the vendors. I am used to going to educational things, teaching conferences, and the vendors there are books or texts, and the best things you get are like pens and candy. This one has cool stuff. And so and I feel bad for them sitting there. I just feel bad. So I go and I drove over, I'm sorry. And I brought you back one of those fish skinner things again. I brought you back one. Yeah. So I got him involved in it. But my best prized possession, you guys, I can't believe it. My name was drawn. I won a Yeti cup. And I already put stickers on it from Etna. So that was my great, yeah, I love the vendors. I have treats for all of you that I wanted to give. And I appreciate David was very kind to me because I'd say, I have a couple people you need to talk to. I went and talked to them. So you need to go there and there. And he would very nicely, okay, and he'd go talk to them. Anyways, I had a great time. Thank you so much. It's such a great experience. Sorry, Ashley, go ahead. There was a lot in those few days.
There is.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to go to this because even being on city council for as long as I have, you're still learning so much. And even if, you're like, I'm not so sure about the speakers, when you get to talk with other councilors and mayors that are there, and then you're like, oh, wow, they deal with the same issues, or, oh, wow, they dealt with the same issue, and here's how they solved it. It's just a really great opportunity to be able to collaborate. So I love it from that standpoint. A couple of them that she touched on briefly that I do want to dive a little deeper in. I really did love the AI workshop. I was so curious about it because it is a commonality that we're hearing now. And as to your point, there is such a negative spin on it. And they really helped cities see how, in what ways can you help it be your assistant. And then also the biggest thing of all, they're like, make sure you're not putting like executive session information if they're asking a question because it does go into a cloud somewhere and that stuff can be counted. So whether you're in any other entity or city, I think it's just important to be mindful of what questions you're asking, any sort of chats. But one of the things I thought was really cool was he was showing how if you have your code and charter, maybe you're a smaller community that can't afford to hire out certain things, you can ask chat, bring in the PDFs and say, is there anything that's conflicting? And it'll just immediately bullet point, like there's this, and then people know how to execute. Or even, again, smaller communities where maybe they need to be able to do grants. And they're like, okay, this one was very successful. Here's the next project. Or they're like, we want to make a park. We live in Oregon. What are some grants that are available? And it would just immediately list it out. So I thought that was really cool, especially you heard a lot of comments in the workshop where people are like, oh my gosh, this is going to save us so much time, or I cannot wait to be able to utilize this. So I did like being able to see it utilized in a positive light. And then also, I think this is kind of the topic of the night, which I appreciate, Mary, you mentioned, but the fire was near and dear to my heart because my husband did wildfire season for several years. And what I thought was very interesting about that one is number one, the climate was very similar to us. It was in Southern Oregon. And number two, the whole Pacific Northwest at that time was up in smoke. So there was no resources available. And one of the comments that the gentleman made that was speaking at this workshop, he referenced how everything you would expect a fire to do, this one did not do. You would think of typically like a tree fire or a building fire. He's like, this was a concrete and asphalt fire. And unfortunately, it just went from neighborhood to neighborhood. And fortunately, even with how mass destructive it was, they only lost 2 people, because there were, was it like hundreds or thousands of people that lost their homes. And as a counselor myself, always trying to say, okay, how can I help in these scenarios? One of the comments that he made is, number one, if there's no resources, we need all hands on deck. So whether or not you are a firefighter or a police officer, there might be ways that you can help. Number 2 thing that you referenced is you as city councilors are going to people are going to come to you and go, what do I do? And I think that it's important to be a part of that conversation, not just essentially go, okay, someone else has it, we'll be fine. I think that it's important that you guys have elected us to be in this role. And so no matter what happens to our city, we want to make sure that you're sleeping well at night, basically. So that was the conviction I had with that. I'm very much looking forward to being able to continue those conversations, because the point that he made that really drilled home for me was, it's really easy to look at Florida and see a hurricane and go, but that happens over there. Or we think of the Midwest and they deal with tornadoes, so but that happens over there. But we do have stuff that could happen here. And so don't want to seem like the person with a tin hat on, but we do need to be prepared. And that's what I want to make sure our city is.
Okay. Any further remarks, Councilor Brewer?
No,
Awesome.
Thank you.
On to 5.3, Public Works Department semi-annual report. We have Scott on Zoom, or is something to do on? Yeah.
We do have Scott here. Scott, are you able, his camera was giving him some issues, but I think he's able to speak.
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can turn you up just a little bit, but yes.
Okay, yeah, pretty short and sweet. I just mainly they're going over different projects that we are in the middle of or closing up or finishing up. A lot of them have to pertain with the Parks Department. So Esmeralda will have a lot of those in hers as well. So we did get the community center remodel project pretty well completed. So I believe she's taking reservations now for that. I may be jumping ahead, but she can talk about that. The pedestrian bridge, they should be paving this week and finishing up the approaches and basically starting cleanup and kind of final touches on that. There'll still be stuff lingering for a while as we've got riprap. There was a few changes, so we had to do a few things there, but yeah, it's going to be useful here pretty quick. So we're excited about that. Just continue working on the water filtration system and the POD, a temporary POD for the non-contact cooling water and bottled water down the road. Just continuing to work through that process. A lot going on behind the scenes, permits, working with the Corps of Engineers and the tribe and those folks, and wastewater, kind of the same kind of thing, just working through permitting, and Melissa's working on the finance side of it to secure the funding so that we can start the upgrades on the water treatment or wastewater treatment plant. Golf course rebounded really well after Rock the Locks. They gotten our fair share of moisture here lately, so things are looking good out there. We're continuing to work on a few things. We'll be coming out with a yearly calendar on maintenance and some things so that we can let our players know when things will be happening within reason, depending on weather, that kind of thing. So within a couple of weeks of each other, things should be going on there. As many of you saw, Nugent Park, we opened up Nugent Park, the pavilion, outdoor kitchen. We were waiting on some tables and some chairs, but the park is being used. I've seen a lot of kids down there already running around, and it's been good weather for getting that grass sustained. So street updates, we finished up the 730 Willamette intersection, restriping that, doing a little bit of curbing and widening there so that we can allow for a right turn lane and a left turn lane, so not everybody's confused as they come into there, and hopefully we'll cut down on the traffic accidents and kind of let people know where they need to go there. So that was kind of a needed thing right away for traffic flow there. And then everybody's been seeing the monument going up. Here's a picture from early last week, so there's already some changes being made there. Lots going on. It's starting to come together and look like what we planned on. So that's about it. Marina, we're just continuing to winterize, blow sprinklers out, get things ready to go there. They had Fish in the Brave a couple weeks ago, and got a lot of really great compliments from the from the Army Corps of Engineers this year, just stating how great the place looked, and that they're not seeing that level of cleanliness and functionality from other places and other parks that they're leasing out. So we felt really good about that. Just kind of a final paragraph on kind of where things are at. We're continuing to set expectations really high, and with that, we just need to keep in mind that those expectations are high, and that we're trying to meet all those, but sometimes those challenges are pretty tough. So we'll continue to do our best, and you guys continue to give us some feedback. Give me a phone call, let me know if you're seeing something or if you heard something, and we'll try to strive to make sure that we're doing our best out there. So, anybody have any questions, concerns, complaints?
No, Scott, you done some good work and we appreciate it. And widening the areas for sure made a difference already. And a couple of wet days have already got hard to go too wide instead of almost touching. So I good. Hard work, Scott.
And the monument's cooler than I expected already.
Yeah. We got to we have 5.4, but we have 5 now. We might have some
Yeah, so in the packet, you have the financial report for the first quarter of this fiscal year, ending September 30th. The report starts with just some high-level overview reminders of the budget. We do have a single year balanced budget of just shy of 180 million. The report does contain a breakdown of how that is between personnel, materials and services, capital outlay, and then smaller remaining categories. Of course, the major category that we have this year is our capital budget. And that is mainly driven by a large number of capital projects all happening at once. We have several water and wastewater infrastructure projects happening both up at the port. We have Power City and Brownell. We also have water reservoir improvements and then wastewater treatment plant improvements. We're seeing the bridge project wrap up, and we're also seeing construction of the entry monument and then the business center breaking ground. So we have a lot going on this year as far as capital goes. The next thing kind of focuses on our general fund and talking about, we have a $19.7 million general fund. Where does that money go? So it talks about the breakdown between various departments, being administration, community development, parks and rec, court, and the various departments there. It is very common in Q1 that the revenue looks pretty short. We do not actually book our beginning fund balance until the audit's been completed in Q2, so those are not reflected. And the majority of our revenue for the general fund comes either from property taxes or payment in lieu of tax, which we don't really receive until November. So those aren't reflected yet for this fiscal year, but we're tracking exactly as I would expect. I did do some just department highlights. We have a new senior accountant on board. Dave Peterson has joined the city. He has over 2 decades of finance experience working for both local governments as well as school districts. So we're really excited and lucky to have him on board. We also had a lot of great training opportunities as a department in the first quarter. Dave and Esmeralda and I were able to attend the Government Finance Officers Association conference and learned a lot of really great things similar to what Corinne and Ashley did at their conference. It's great to network, but also to hear about a lot of relevant topics that we're all battling and facing. We also sent staff to our Cassell conference, which is our accounting software. And then John in the HR department attended a health and safety conference and then also the BOLI annual conference. So some good training there. I did include some links to our online interactive budget document for this year. It's live on the website. So if you guys want to check that out, the link is in the report, as well as on the city website under the finance page. There's a reminder of some upcoming library events for you in the next couple of months. And then we do have a new online job application portal. So all of our jobs now go through what's called NeoGov, but really it links to governmentjobs.com, and it allows the applicant to go all the way from application to booking their own interview and through the hiring process and doing job offers electronically. So we're excited internally about that and some efficiencies. Any questions?
One thing I didn't see, but I really like, probably a pie chart for the general fund highlights. Can next go around, can you get a pie chart for all of the anchor ones you highlighted? Like you have the utility operations, bridges, roads, facilities, maybe all of that, like my project, I guess, my product side, maybe that as well.
So the other funds are specific to a specific department. The general fund is really the only one that has multiple departments, is why I broke it down that way. I do have under the citywide consolidated revenues and expenditures, I do have the totals for each specific fund, but within the fund, there's not really a break. I could do a breakdown of like personnel and materials and services, but there is no departmental breakdown.
Staffing. That was okay.
That's a very good report. Thank you.
Yes.
Move on to save the date.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. So there's training coming up next month for elected officials. Our region is Region 11. There's a training on December 19th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. in Pendleton for elected officials training, or elected essentials training. If you're unable, if that date doesn't work for you, the next nearest one is in the Dalles, and it's on the Friday the 5th. Let me pull that back up. Sorry, Friday the 6th of December, all day from 8:15 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if the 19th doesn't work, there maybe the Dalles on the 6th might be better. Let me pull this back up. Also, there's other additional trainings. PSU has what they're calling their elected officials boot camp. It's really the training that you get from LOC, but a lot more some drill down information and what they're seeing sort of in trends of where elected boards are seeing a lot of focus on right now. And so they'll hit a lot of those highlights and focus on that as well. That's on Saturday, December the 7th. And then the Oregon Government Ethics Commission is also hosting live webinars. So those all of these trainings are for, well, actually, I think PSU has a fee, but LOC and OGEC is free of charge. There, the elected official is required by law to take the new public meetings law training, and Nancy can talk about that in a little bit more detail if you have follow-up questions on that. But that's effective starting January 1 of next year. And so there's a new mandatory training requirement there. So just wanted to give you an update on the trainings that are offered and available coming up here over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
I already have one. So scheduled to go for the December 6th at the Dalles. So if you want to go, shoot me a text or an email and I will get you guys signed up and ready to go.
It's the 19th all day as well.
Yes.
The 19th is
The-
5 p.m. to 9
5 p.m. tonight. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yes, the 19th.
I'm gonna put a shameless plug too. We get insurance discounts if the majority of you attend these trainings, and we have historically had a really hard time accomplishing that.
With the one, we have specific days that.
I requested several in-house trainings, so I'm hoping that they come to this side, and I've partnered with other city recorders so we can host here or in Hermiston. That is ultimately the goal, but at this point in time, they haven't released their dates yet, so.
And for the questions of this content. Okay. Moving on now to public comments.
Just, yeah, it's fine.
There's one.
Thanks,
I'll
Chief.
withdraw. Time, we have Leslie. Yes, gonna make sure you please list your name and address and your comments.
Are they not working?
Yeah. I'll check.
Okay, I'll try to be loud. My name is Leslie Foster. I'm at 344 Boswell Avenue on South Hill. I am a longtime Peninsula resident. I have lived here my entire life. I actually was born in Hermiston and lived in the area apartments right across the Berry Market forever. I only left to go to college and I came right back. So I do have a couple of things I wanted to say with regards to the incident at Lifeways. Bear with me here. Sorry. I just wanted to express my concern and disappointment regarding that incident. With regards to the person who escaped from Berry Manor and with lack of communication from the city. My family and I chose to raise our children in this small town because of the strong sense of community and the belief that we look out for one another. This incident and the city's dismissive response has shaken that belief to its core. It is deeply disturbing that a patient capable of strangling and assaulting another resident was able to escape from a facility and trusted with their care. However, what is equally troubling is the failure to communicate that effectively with the residents, especially with this such serious breach. It was only a Facebook post that was seen and then later was deleted. And I feel like that was inappropriate, especially for the folks in the Berry. You may know Berry Hines runs an after school program who dismissed children around the same time that the incident happened at 5 o'clock. We would have had essentially children walking around with Berry at the time that this man escaped Lifeways. That's deeply concerning to me, that these children would have never known what was happening on their way. Also, due to the lack of information available, people filled it in with gaps. So they relied on Facebook to basically figure out what was going on, which led to some miscommunication, obviously. And it wasn't until 11 the next day that we got any kind of notification that that person had been indeed in her. I do feel like for a long time we have waited for this response, especially knowing that some people do need to work for a night shift and leave their children alone. They would have probably really appreciated to know exactly when that person was, captured essentially. I do feel like it is the city's obligation to ensure the safety and the well-being of the residents here. And I also feel like it is, this does include transparency and being able to communicate openly and working alongside everybody. For example, the school district. I am part of the school district as well. And I feel like we do have such a great way of communicating with the parents in our school district. And we would be more than happy to work alongside you guys to create some kind of mass communication project, whatever it may be, plan, so that we can ensure that these kind of things don't go unnoticed and that people can plan if there is some kind of issue where we need to alert people immediately. So I just thank you for your time, and I hope that in the future we can work collaboratively on something like this and prevent an issue like this again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you. This time we have Lisa Pratt.
Hi, my name is Denise Pratt, 148 Rio 7th Street. I'm a fairly new resident to this neighborhood, came from Portland. Thinking that this was a very safe. And I mean, we would always keep our doors locked in Portland. our vehicles locked. So it was very concerning to us to find out from a neighbor, because I wasn't on Facebook and I certainly wasn't on the Umatilla School District Facebook page. I am now, but I wasn't. And I'm on like 5 of them, but still, I don't check my Facebook all the time. And thank goodness my neighbor across the street sent me a notice of that happening. Otherwise, we would probably, you know, Bill said, I never locked the cars. He does now. So, but we left extra lights on in the back of the house, that kind of thing. And then to see that there was no follow-up, that was extremely concerning to us. So just so that you realize, and I'm not sure what kind of an emergency notification system you have or lack thereof, but we have a 503 phone number. And so would we even be missed because of that? And we don't know a lot of people around here. We know the immediate neighbors, and that's about it. So I have 2 main concerns to talk about, and one is safety, and the other is communication, which we've discussed a little bit with the communication, and I can see that that's going to be something discussed by the city council. So I'm glad to hear that. I would want to ask that it is done quickly, made a priority. You don't know when another emergency situation is going to happen. One of the things that I did pay attention to, I mean, fire is another one like Ashley brought up. My son lives in Maui and he just experienced the Lahaina fire. And one of the things that was concerning about the Lahaina fire is that there were very few accesses in and out of that community. And I realized the same thing is here. We have 1 way in, 2 ways out in the McNary neighborhood. And what if there is a fire? How fast it comes up? Or what if there, I'm not sure what else, but you know, fire specialist. So communication, very important. Maybe even opening up another one of those side roads that's locked up, you know, going east would help too. It would connect with Bud Draper Drive. It was very concerning to find out from a newspaper article that there was that extremely dangerous man who had cut off his mother's head being considered to move here. I strongly request that that is denied. It's obvious that that likewise is not as secure of a facility as you all thought it was. I didn't even know it was a secure facility at all. I would see people outside. I thought it was like a rehab place because people were always outside smoking cigarettes and sitting in wheelchairs. The resident was loose for over 6 hours. A lot could have gone very, very wrong in those 6 hours. So basically said, oh, vinyl fence. I read that. I didn't realize it just had a vinyl fence. I'm not sure what other kind of fencing, secure fencing is on Likewise, but I read someplace that it was just a vinyl fence, and that doesn't seem very secure. So I would request that City Council put this as a high priority, consider the safety and better communication, a very comprehensive communication for this neighborhood, I'm sure for all of you in Matilda too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Crystal Lake.
Hawaii at 130 Van Buren Drive. I'm not here about Lifeways. I'm here about the entrance to McNary, where there were some metal fish. Those were mostly rescued. And all of the ones around the monument that used to be Kiwanis Fall, they are safely in the office here at City Hall, and we have had some discussion about what we might be able to do with those. I met with a couple other gals, Tracy Fink and Tina Writings, and we are throwing around some ideas We met with Dave and we are in hopes that we will somehow reutilize those fish in another project and that they won't go away. We do still have a mystery though, because I know there were at least 3 fish with names on them. We only have my mom's. So if anybody sees fish around or knows anything about it, it'd be great to find the other 2 missing ones. And we do hope that we are also going to see some future projects for other ways to have remembrances of other city members or family members that we can all go and enjoy and see together. So just to let everybody know, the fish are not lost and we will be utilizing them in a great way.
Thank
Thank you for saving the fish.
Yeah.
Yes, my name is Rod Harris. I live at 192 Rio Sandy. And again, I'm talking and thinking about the Lifeway incident. And I find it very discouraging that we didn't know anything. I didn't know anything until the next day. And it's in our community and our kids and grandkids. It could very easily have turned that. And so I'm really looking forward to the city coming up with a good communication plan. In today's age, relying on just a Facebook post or something. Is there a chance that we can get some, like, the Amber Alert or something to alert the neighborhood that there's going on, some fire? I know a couple of years ago, we had a fire that was close to coming up to McNary, and we were, you're a level 3 for evacuation, stay alert, so we need a communications system that serves the need in this day and age.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Cyber.
I'll give these to you after.
Thank you, Josiah.
Josiah Barron, representing the Umatilla Chamber of Commerce at 100 Pine Avenue. Just a few different things that our members have going on. If you hadn't heard, Yovalcraig in Hermiston is hosting the Toys for Tots program. There's still time for families to get registered. Up until the last day to register is Friday, November 22nd. But if you hadn't heard of the Toys for Tots program, it's a program from the United States Marine Corps that provides gifts for children under age 12 who are not able to, if their families are struggling with the finances and different things with getting gifts, but you can go to Uvalcraig's Facebook page, or there's also information on the Umatilla Chamber website at umatillaorchamber.org. And then also, there's also Uvalcraig is also partnered with Capco. They're doing this year the turkey bucks for Thanksgiving coming up on Monday, November 25th at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Uvalcraig parking lot. There's holiday meals on a first come, first served basis for those families who need that. And then right here in Umatilla, Old Nick's is also hosting a chili feed in partnership with Sun Terrace to help. All proceeds from the chili feed will go to help residents at Sun Terrace get something special under the Christmas tree to brighten their Christmas gift this year. But it's Saturday, November 23rd from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here at Old Nick's down the road, 610 6th Street. Chili, all the fixings, cornbread. You won't want to miss that out. It's $10 per meat. And also coming up next month, beginning of next month, Tuesday, December 10th, from 12 p.m. to 1:30, you're invited. The Umatilla Chamber is having our annual membership meeting and also our 4th quarterly luncheon. Who will be from Light 'em Up Barbecue. Tickets for chamber members are $10, but there's also $15 for guests are welcome to come and attend, see what the Umatilla Chamber of Commerce has been doing throughout the year and make some good connections with business associates in the area. And then the last thing I'm excited to mention about is also the Umatilla Chamber is presenting a Umatilla Posada and Resource Festival. We've been working with the Umatilla School District and the Parent Club, as well as the Intermountain ESD Migrant Program. There's going to be live music, food, different resources, some piñatas, and a lot of fun activities. So the Posada will be Friday, December 13th at McNary Heights Elementary Gym from 4 to 6:30 p.m. Once again, you can check out the Umatilla Chamber of Commerce website at umatillaorchamber.org. We have our events page, and then there's also information on our Facebook and Instagram at Umatilla Chamber. And that's all I have for tonight. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Josiah. Thanks, Josiah.
Next we have Linda. I think your last name, but I think.
Thank you, Josiah.
I just want to ditto the safety thing.
Thank you.
Is there any other for the first?
I think there was another form, but there was like two in the back.
There's one from the beginning and there's one from the end of the meeting.
Oh, I signed up.
Would you like to correct that?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, you're in trouble. That's right.
Heidi Site 120 Rio Senda, Umatilla. As you know, last Friday night, we had an incident at the Lifeways McNary place that put our community at risk. The resident escaped after allegedly assaulting and strangling another individual. This is unacceptable, but what's worse is the city's emergency communications, or in this case, lack thereof. I've addressed my concerns in both Chief Bridge and City Manager Stockdale, and I have copies of the letter I sent them both for you and for Nancy. Chief Bridge reached out right away, and we have a planned coordination meeting, and I'm certain we will soon have a better system in place for two-way communication on future issues soon. But beyond those plans, we need real communication solutions. We had kids getting dropped off by buses in the McNary community at that time from the after-school program, and no one told us. For years, the school district has used its communication systems to share important information regarding fires, natural gas leaks, etc., to help support the city because the city didn't have such systems. I offered that again as soon as I saw the Facebook post, and my offer was declined. Thankfully, by the time I got that answer, I'd already sent it. And I'm glad that I did, because I got messages from parents thanking me because their kids were home alone and they at least had a chance to tell them to lock the door. What's the monitoring plan in place for Lifeways? I was on the original planning commission that approved that facility, and it was not intended for it to be used as it currently is. We were told it would house people the director described as, quote, long-term stable hospital residents who, long-term state hospital residents who are stable and well monitored. Further, it was intended to be a dual purpose facility. A headline from 2007 stated the forensic patients will take up only a portion of the building. Lifeways plans to build a 9,500 square foot facility to accommodate not only forensic patients and the community patients, but also plans to move its Hermiston Community Mental Health Clinic to the Umatilla facility. Within a year or so, they ceased all counseling for our community and have failed to provide their commitment to the community ever since. In 2018, I was still on the planning commission when they requested to change the fence. Originally, there was a double fence with a trench in the middle to make it harder for people to escape, basically made the fence taller by nature of the trench. They want to replace it with an 8-foot vinyl fence. At that time, the minutes showed that I shared concerns about them even being zoned to operate the McNary neighborhood any longer, as they had ceased to approve or provide the counseling service that they'd originally been approved for, and had since become only an inpatient facility. It didn't matter, they're still operating. Today, I'm asking you to consider real requirements and plans for that facility. I want to know how many times people successfully escaped from that facility. If there have been other times, I really want to know why we've never been made aware of it. The facility is blocks from an elementary school. It was built in the midst of a residential area, and safety is key, and a huge part of safety is communication. I want to know how many police calls we've had to that facility through the years and for what types of issues. I also want to know what their plan is to improve their security after this incident. Most importantly, I want someone to look me in the eyes and promise me that the people being held in this facility are indeed long-term state hospital residents who are stable and well monitored, because state records show Jacob Verlo was only provided compulsory guardianship in February of 2023 and pled guilty to menacing in July of 2022 after the state accused him of trying to use a knife to harm someone. That doesn't fit that initial description of who should be here. The public records I want to see regarding escape history and police calls will tell us if the facility is indeed, quote, well monitored. I think we can already see from Friday's incident, it most certainly wasn't well monitored the day he escaped and provided fear for our McNary neighborhood, for which the lack of communication caused that fear to extend nearly 12 hours after the situation was resolved.
They use the text-based,
So when we send a communication from the school district, I can choose which ones I want to send. So we push it out to an app. In that case, Friday night,
it just goes out to.
every parent. So I pushed it out to an app. I sent a text message. I sent an email. I didn't do calls because I was fearful if we had kids home alone, and I did a call and that was the message they received. That could be scary. And I didn't know if they could pick up the phone if their parents were home.
Is it voluntary, like people sign up to receive text?
No,
Okay.
they're in, they're in.
Okay.
Like if their kids enrolled, they're in.
Okay.
And what we've done in the past, like for gas leaks and things like that, is we send out that message and then we say, this is only, if you receive this, you're in part of the Umatilla School District system, please share with your friends and neighbors.
Okay. It works pretty good.
We've never had an issue. First time we've ever been told not to use it too.
Okay.
Also, Aaron John.
I think I can wait till the end, right?
Would you like to wait the end? Yeah, thank you. I think I'm gonna mark.
An hour later.
Let's go ahead and do it now.
Okay.
Yeah, just go fast.
Okay.
Just make sure you come back and sign when you're done. Thank you.
So I'm Mary Cahill, 180 Rio Sendet. And just a couple of quick things is, I really like the Willamette intersection that was redone. And I called several months ago and I don't know who I spoke to, told that was gonna be redone, that's great. But the whole street of Willamette, people go the wrong.
Does this work?
Thank you.
The whole street, I've seen people go the wrong direction, because it's a really wide street, so it does look like it could be going both. So maybe let me know if there's someone specific I should be talking to, or that's just something for you guys to know about.
Yeah, we'll share the comments with Scott.
And also, as far as the alert system, my son that lives here lived in the Dalles for several years. And the Dalles has a great alert system that everyone that lives there, and I don't know how they know, because when he's back here, it doesn't work. But he would get a text on his phone from the city and it would say, at times, there was a problem with the water, don't drink the water right now. There is a fire and there is a drill going on by the police station right now, the police department. So just know that it's a drill. So those kind of alerts came through, and however it works, it was just the people who are in the Dalles got an alert as a text on their phone. So we might reach out to them and see how they do theirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Say your name and address to the record.
Mary Cahill, 180 Rio Senda.
Thank you, Mayor. Any please sign this on the way by? Pass along to Nancy. Okay, moving on now. To our consent agenda. This time we only have 7.1, I believe, this evening. Yes. We just have minutes from our previous meetings. Any questions on our previous meeting? Okay, looking for a motion to approve. the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to approve the November 5th minutes, consent agenda item 7.1.
Thank you. Can I get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yeah, that would be very much. Moving on to this item 8.1, amending October 15 minutes. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we looked at, the minutes from October 15th, just for information, when, as you see Nancy working over here during council meeting, there's information taken live as it's happening. And then from here, our software transfers it to basically a Word document so we can process through, and then we make a final correction before finalization. The two comments during public comment didn't make that transfer over. Everything else came through, but we didn't catch that when we approved the minutes before. And so that was brought to our attention. And so we've brought this back to the council to see if we can amend the originally approved minutes so that it can include those public comments.
So what was changed on, was the section located?
It would have been section 6 for public comment.
Oh, that's those. Looking at what I was changing. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Any moving for a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve 8.1 amended minutes from October 15, 2024.
Thank you. Can I get a second motion, please?
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Yeah, thank you. We have to 8.2, adoption of ordinance number 873.
I'll hand it to Brandon.
I'm happy to answer any questions you might have for me on adoption of the ordinance, but this is the final approval from the first reading that we had last week. So this would be the final approval necessary to finalize the street vacation for C Street, a portion of 7 in the alleyway lying between C and D Street.
Any questions for that council?
No.
Okay, looking for a motion this time?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve new business item 8.2, adoption of ordinance number 873.
Thank you. Can I get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, moving on to 3 local business grant. Brandon?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So following up from our discussion on kind of how council wanted to proceed with the local business grant. As I mentioned, we did have 3 very good applications, so we brought those back for your consideration. 2 of them are new businesses. I'll start with the existing business, Columbia Appliance. They are looking to be able to expand their service territory by purchasing a new truck to be able to use for delivery and pickup, so they can start to expand their service area to just not Umatilla. So that's a great thing for a local business. The second one, a lot of the work has already taken place. If you've driven by the old House of Mowers business, it is looking very nice with the fresh coat of paint. So that is the second application for the purchase and operation of a new HVAC business in town. The third one is HTM Group LLC. Probably most people would know it as American Pacific Mortgage. So they are a lender. They are looking to locate into Umatilla as well. They have purchased and will be remodeling the old Tonnings building as kind of their first space to get office and space here. I do believe they have some additional plans for maybe some expansions or some new building, but this would certainly get them located in town and get them established here. Happy to answer any other questions you might have, but all the paperwork is in there. If you have any questions.
Brings it old Tonnings?
Yeah, there's old Tonnings motor right across from like Ray's. That's just what the sign says. That's, I guess, what I've referred to it as for the last time.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. All right, any questions from council?
Just exciting to see young person that grew up in our area, putting a business back here. It's awesome.
I say he had great purpose. Really excited.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the local business grants 8.3 as presented.
I get a second. Please.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations. Those grants back in. All right, moving on to public comment number 2, we have Aaron Johnson.
Testing.
We gotta check the button on click on the side. Right again, I think I heard it.
Testing.
Red and black.
Or red.
Green, 99.
Oh, there we go. Good. All right, understand.
I'm Aaron Johnson, 186 Rio Cinda. I graduated from Umatilla High School in 1993. I was a reserve police officer here before I went to work for the Sandfield Police Department and then the Pendleton Police Department. And in fact, I think the grant on that particular property was where I made my first arrest. Can't make this stuff up. I will be close to retiring from a long law enforcement career, except that I got dragged into the global war on terror. I now rent my father's house up on Rio Cinda. And one of the great ironies of my life is that the address on my enlistment paperwork is the same address as my retirement paperwork. The Lightways incident concerns me, and that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm very aware of how that could go wrong and how quickly that can go wrong. I was told by my neighbor long after the information would have been relevant should an incident have occurred. Although I am very grateful for my neighborhood now, we are communicating better than we have in a long time. I was pointed to a Facebook post, which I saved for updates, and then the following morning I found that the post had been deleted. And once again, I was updated by another community member who had gone to the Umatilla County Sheriff's webpage and determined that the guy had been lodged there. I've spent 27 years building emergency plans. The communication piece is among the easiest parts. Don't overthink it, just get it done. The problem has already been solved by numerous communities as other people have shared. So I just ask that you would put something in place, make the right person responsible, and then start looking for the perfect plan. Once we've got something in place, the perfect plan would be there. And I appreciate that the mayor perceived that the community was upset by this. That would have been enough to keep me from speaking this evening, but I sense some animus on the council. I just ask that whatever animosity exists on this council, that all of you would not let that risk the safety of our community. I've placed my life on the line for this community more times than I can share. In fact, I think some of them are going to be still classified in 25 years. I just ask that if you know there is a danger to this community, that you get that information out to the community so that we can protect our loved ones. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service. Thank you. Okay, we're on to discussion item 10.1, conversation on communication. So this is my agenda item, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So my question is, you know, we heard a lot of different discussion today about the situation that happened in Lightwoods and many community perspectives on it. My intent with this conversation is not to throw any one agency, any one individual, any one person underneath the bus on this. I do want to make it very clear that I think the communication plan is critical. I'm curious on one, what policies do we have in place currently? If those policies were followed, if they weren't followed, actions were taken to correct those. And if we have no policy in place, where do we start writing policy to make sure that an incident like this does not occur again? I mean, the fact that someone reached out to me on Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey, you're the mayor, you should know about this." And I went, "Thanks for the heads up," was probably the biggest blindside that I've had as the last 2 years of being mayor. It's pretty shocking to have that occur. And then to hear about it from a text message about an hour later from my employer was also very sad. So I'm curious what policies we have in place and how we go from there. And if we're not ready yet with what policies we have, we can collaborate. We can not a different conversation, but that's definitely what I'm looking for our next discussion. Councilmember Jeff Paul.
Well, I'll throw somebody in the bus. Lightwoods. It's their responsibility. It's their business. They sold us a bill of goods in 2007, period, the end. It doesn't matter. How else we look at it, we can have the best communication in the land, but if we don't know the information exists, we don't know. I work in a system that 24 years also in law enforcement, working for Department of Corrections. How would that be if you guys weren't notified that we had an escape? That's the first thing we send out. But that's our responsibility. I think their onus goes right back on them. And with that in mind, I'm not in for government overreach, but I also think that we need to definitely keep our community safe. What that looks like, I have no idea. I don't know how we can mandate something in our community. I agree with you, Heidi, that they haven't fulfilled their agreement. So when I heard about it, I agree. I was outraged as well because I live just down the street as well. So my wife's there, maybe my grandbabies will there. But in the same sense, also dealing with that element, typically they just go somewhere and hide. But what we don't know at that point. And the clientele that they have now was not the same clientele that they told us was gonna be. And that's, Mayor, that's why I said earlier what I was talking about them being here, because those are the questions I want to ask them. That their feet need to be held with the fire. Now, as far as reverse 911s, I've done investigations in other parts where we have had escapes in prisons. We had a 911 reverse that we were able to contact everybody around that area that a felon had escaped. So we have systems available, and I'm sure that we can come up with something. The other part is, I don't want to bog down us to manage their problem, because ultimately, again, I go back to the same thing. How can we go to a business and they're not fulfilling their obligation? But in the same sense as the city, what purview do we have? I don't know what that is. Do we tell them, hey, look, you guys can't have a business here? But they're kind of ran by the state. It's a double-edged sword. I don't know. This is complex. I do agree that we have to have some communication. And I don't agree that it has to be social media. This has been the ultimate thing, right? There's a lot of people that don't have Facebook. There's a lot of people, especially right now, going through the political thing that's going on. We all know, I don't know how many people have deleted all their social. And so how do we communicate with them? How do we reach them? Is it newspapers? No. People don't read those anymore. Is it radio? No, I listen to Spotify. It's how do you do that? Do we have the airplane with the thing behind it? I don't know. Do we do the mass flyer from the airplane like they used to? I don't know. I agree, though, we do have to get information. And I 100% agree with you that it was outrageous that it wasn't taken care of. So, and I really do appreciate everybody saying something tonight. I want you to know that I'm not dismissing anything. It's just a complex and there's just a lot of moving parts to it. So that's where I'm at with it personally.
Yeah, I think you highlighted the point too, of, they are business, right? They are responsible for this to a certain level, and I completely agree. Same time though, we are the first stop when they had an incident, someone left, they called us.
Oh, yeah.
And so when they called us, it becomes our responsibility. And the buck unfortunately has to stop right about here, and that has to trickle down. So start going down here.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you revoke their license?
I don't know. We revoke a business license, as you told Brandon?
Technically, there is a process to be able to revoke a business license, a conditional use permit. I'm not prepared to answer that question on the spot on options that way, but yes, there is a code path for that.
That's a different conversation.
There's a lot to it, I think.
Yeah.
Good news, Brandon, the minutes from the planning commission meeting in 2018, that was the question that I asked, and you said you'd look into it, but I didn't see in the minutes where it ever reflected what the answer was. So I know you started it, so if you go back to 2018, you'll find it, because I know you did it. I just
covered it.
Dr. Dell, I know that you were asked some questions, so I would like to.
Happy to go in whichever order you'd like, Mayor.
Just a real quick briefing on the wildfire we had that impacted McNary last year. The Department of Emergency Management for Umatilla County uses Everbridge as a communications system. Okay, that is a regional, you sign up for it, it comes to whatever phone, if it's 503 or a 541 or a 206, it doesn't matter, but you have to physically sign up for it. That is managed through the Department of Emergency Management in the 911 center in Pendleton. Okay, that's an opportunity to expand, but emergency management, working with the city, I'm sure the police chief and myself will set about how do we communicate local events here. And that's something that the fire department will pledge to work with the city on. So,
sure, thank you.
Yes.
And then we'll go to Stockdale real quick, and then we'll jump to Bridge. He raised his hand.
I was just gonna go off something he said that.
We'll go real quick, and then we'll jump.
Everbridge actually has a an option where you can geofence a specific area and it will target the cell tower and target no matter, every phone in that general. Everbridge is a phenomenal.
Basically.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, just as I go off of that, so we had communication with Umatilla County Emergency Management, Sage DeLong is their emergency manager, specifically about Everbridge. We started this conversation earlier in the year, and what they're talking about here, they call those public facing alerts that can go out, and to each chief's point is they are a subscription service. There's two levels. There's a subscription service, and then there's the tower service. So if you're in here, it can go out that way. Right now, the city of Umatilla has access to that, but only through the county, unless it's goes out directly from either Chief Bridge or Chief Grant. So we set up to start talking with them back at the beginning of this year. We followed up with them again in the summer, but they haven't made themselves available this way. So we have, since this incident and yesterday, reached out to Sage again and just said, we definitely need to, this has to be a priority. We have to get together. So that is coming. It's not, again, we still don't have a date for that, but we're communicating on that there. As far as emergencies in general, so in November of 2019, we adopted by resolution our City of Umatilla emergency plan. But that plan doesn't get into, it talks about civil disturbances, but that's not really, I don't know if this would follow that, but that's for extreme weather, earthquakes, hazardous materials, fires, transportation issues, utility failures, things like that. And so we have, it covers those either moderately to extensively, depending on what the incident might be, sets up established protocols, mitigation measures, how we're our upfront preparedness, responses, recovery, those sorts of things. But it doesn't, we don't, as far as I am aware, Lifeways is required to have their on-site plans as part of their contract with the state of Oregon. But, and Chief, you can correct me if you know differently, we are not part of that. And, you know, I think this incident is pretty clear that that needs to change. And so that's, and I appreciate Chief Bridge, Superintendent Sipe, and others. And I know that you have a meeting scheduled with him either today or this week. And so those things are happening now. So I'll also pause there. I'm not sure if there's other questions that you wanted me to get into on that.
I think some of the two being the type of business that it is, then being mandated by a judge. There's a lot of moving parts. So, I'm not sure what for you. I mean, we can't say you can't accept this person. You know what I mean? Because it's mandated by a judge to go to the hospital, and their care facilities are telling them to come here because they're quote unquote stable, or however you want to say it. And I don't know how we would force that back. You know, I don't.
Can we force them to update their in-house security?
Well, again, they don't have any security.
Oh, okay.
That's what's crazy about it. I know some people that have worked there, and I mean, it's only walking over there.
I've seen the guys out smoking.
No, so with that, again, we're back to, 2007. I remember there was a lot of discussion about them putting that place in McNary. I mean, Hornell, do you remember that? It was huge. So, and you kind of seen it writing on the wall, but you don't put it next to a school. I mean, the prison's way out in the middle of nowhere, so it's.
Doesn't help to talk to that guy who cut his mom's head off either. Is he getting shipped over here too?
He's already there.
I
don't know.
I never heard you for that.
He's not there.
Well, I remember the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of talk about that alone.
There's still I don't believe a decision's been made, but he's not there, at least not right now.
Might want to read the letter that Chief Bridge and City got. Chief Bridge and I had a meeting set up with the Lifeways to prepare for that person arriving and develop a safety plan together with them. And then they put that on pause because he's not.
Okay.
But the yet is still.
Yeah.
So that's what I was gonna ask too, because I know kind of the main person connector of this is Lifeways. Is there a way that we can communicate or talk with them or kind of figure out what we do on?
Yes, absolutely. And that is happening this week.
So right now, we don't have a policy in place, but I mean, this is a use case scenario, but do we have a policy in place that says what levels of communication mentioned that there was? Can I get that provided to you via email?
Yeah, what are you looking for, the emergency, the emergency plan, or? Sure.
Any other further comments on this? No.
I would just like to offer that, until you ask for an addition to the agenda tonight, that's the first time that I've heard of this, which I find, a little troubling as well. I happen to be one of those people that have, consciously unplugged from social media for many reasons. I can tell you that my own personal sanity has improved greatly since I've but with that said, I was completely oblivious, and if that had anything to do with the onus of council, not feeling, not feeling it, I mean, I'm completely and totally blindsided, as you said, that's probably the biggest blindside that I think I've experienced here so far. So, I'm still kind of getting my head wrapped around that something's even happened at this point. So, my apologies for that. I knew nothing of what's taking place other than what I've heard.
That's a great find myself.
So, obviously, there's communication.
Any further discussions from either side? Okay, I'm going to move on to the mayor's message. First off, I want to highlight it once again, the 4 service members that saved a life in our community. That cannot be understated. The impact of those young men have in our community is seen, and women who also serve as well. I don't want to that. But it's really important and critical. Like I mentioned as well, like me and hundreds of others. It's and Riley too, and Dakota, and anyone else, and Rick, he came back. I've got people in this room that came from Utah, came back and served in our community. And it's a decision that you make. You get back to the community in which you lived in, and you grew up in, and you understood it was important. And to have such a serious conversation today about students' lives were at risk because of lack of communication. Students were potentially in harm's way because of individual choices by adults that had no rhyme or reason to not communicate on this heartbreak. I reinforced, and I heard some sad comments about people saying, hey, this is a community we moved to keep our doors unlocked. When I grew up here, our door was always locked. And sometimes we got a couple birds in the house, but some were there for a couple of them. But these are some of the decisions and some of the things that we had a small community, we had a small individual pack. And I'm proud to be a member of this community, and I continue to be proud of this community. And I continue to hope that we impact changes with the neighborhoods around us and with this council, and we can continue to have change that is meaningful and impactful. We can prevent things like this incident from occurring again, and that we as a city can learn, move on, and progress. That is my message for this evening. We're going to start it down with I'll go with Harper.
I feel like I've said a lot tonight. I think my units are up, but thank you for putting up with me, and I thank you for everyone for being here. I appreciate it. This is, very emotional time with this happening, and you think, why head should be rolling like right now. I mean, like with not here, but with Lifeways. But that doesn't sound very good. That's what happens when I go off my script.
We discussed this.
We did that.
I'm asking for a week.
Sorry, but yeah, it's just like, it's just very frustrating, so thank you though for our city for all you do, sorry. Thank you everyone for coming, it was so nice having everybody and also honoring the fire men and police and stuff. Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I ask one more question? I don't know how the city council thing works. Never been before.
It's loose, I'm sure it's
Okay.
fine. Yep.
Can I ask, is there an action plan for for the communication thing? Is there gonna be like a committee formed? I'm not hearing any action.
So, this agenda item was a discussion. So we're gonna have a further discussion item, an action item that we'll bring to the council, or that Dave will work to bring to the council. So there'll be an action item. That's not this evening. We can't have an action item yet until we've had a discussion. So tonight's a discussion item. Dave will get back to us. We'll have a further discussion, make that an action item, depending on his deliberation when we're working on the agenda together to try to get that fixed. And then we'll publicly post that on Friday before the next meeting. We'll let you know.
And it sounds like there will be communicated with Lifeways and stuff, right?
We want to make sure that we have everyone who's part of this broader conversation, communication is in the room, along with Chief Grant, Bridge, Lifeways, potentially even the president, superintendent, getting everyone, the school district superintendent, getting everyone in the same room. So we have a broader conversation of what does communication planning for emergencies like this happen. We can have that further discussion.
At the next city council meeting.
That's what we'll discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're not sure yet. We'll get back to you. on
It
that.
moves slower than that.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. If you send me an email, I'll reach out directly to you. Overviews on this. Yeah. All right, Councilmember.
I got a question. First thing, I want to say I appreciate the report from Ms. Funderburg. I mean, especially Ms. Funderburg, but all of you, thank you very much. She overshadowed you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We heard 14 subjects in 2 minutes. It was perfect. I love it. First responders recognition, that's amazing. It's a thankless job. And a lot of times you don't get paid crap and you do it because of, it's the right thing to do. And I have a lot of family, a lot of friends that are involved in law enforcement, and I am holding to the highest regard because I know what it takes a lot. All the community, everybody showing up tonight, I really appreciate it. I wish you'd come every week because there's so much stuff going on and we would love to hear everybody's opinion. It's really important because sometimes I think we can live in a vacuum, we just feel ourselves talk, and then everyone's like, well, how can you come up with that? Well, I didn't know you felt that way. You know, we're in the community, come talk. Most of us, you can reach out to us at any time, please do. And I really want to, as change comes around in the world, you know, we have to get the, it's us against us all the time, right? It can't be us against them. It's we have to come together and have some understanding. Even an old 58-year-old guy like me learns new things all the time, and you learn that, you know, it's okay to be wrong and it's okay to learn new things, and that's perfectly fine. And wisdom comes a long ways. We're building a culture here, and it's a shift, right? Umatilla has changed so much since we moved here in 1998. Living in the same house since that time. That's quite an astonishing compliment that we could, you know, do that in such a great community. And on to the, I don't know if y'all know this, but my wife and I used to own this little bar. And it was, I felt that we really represented it in a certain way. We never became a nuisance, right? We didn't have fights there. We didn't have things that were creating an issue in town. As a business, you have an obligation not to create a nuisance. Well, I think we have a business that's creating a nuisance. If it's causing a safety issue or concern, then I think that we have the purview to go in and say, hey, look, what's your action? I'm not gonna fix your problem for you, because I can't mandate you to do things. All I can say is that you will operate in a certain manner within our community. And that's what they do with bars. That's what they do with businesses that create a nuisance, right? So if you have a business that's creating a funky smell, then they come in and they sue you, right? If you have wastewater coming out of it, you get sued, you get a penalty. Well, we're kind of that way. We got some sewer water that went over a fence. So sorry, but that's just how it is. And so we have to, I think the onus goes back on them. I think that we as a community were flat-footed because we too were sold a bill of goods in 2007. So it's been one of those things that's been in our community so long, we forgot about it. Until, of course, now the sewer water comes in. Well, we gotta take care of it. So let's figure out a plan and make sure that they understand that they're accountable for their actions. So if they're not following their policies, that's their problem, not mine. My problem is now we have sewer water in the street. So let's take care of it. I agree, communication is key. I probably talk too much all the time. So again, thank you everybody for coming in. I really appreciate it. And, oh, okay, but yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, I grew up in Hermiston almost 3/4 of a century ago. And we never came to Umatilla. There was nothing here. The only time I came to Umatilla was, I was a toll taker on the bridge before any of you were born. Anyway, I moved in with my dad to take care of my dad when I came to it. I mean, kudos. I know there's still things to work on, but wow.
Right.
I didn't recognize it.
It's amazing. I love it. So very proud of our community. It's just little tweaks. It's we can fix it. That's the thing, we can fix it. Have some grace and have some patience.
And we're worth fixing.
Hey, yeah, we are. I like your hair.
And it was an accident.
I want to go on the record.
It's actually COVID related. I started cut mowing hair after COVID, and let's just say the guard fell off and I had to improvise. Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. I was off track. Whoa.
Councilmember Keating. All right, well, I just kind of want to piggyback off of the firemen. I'm pretty sure this is the apartment where my boys have some friends there, and they mentioned the fire to me. But it was on the opposite side. It was just a minor little fire, nothing about somebody being in there or how close they were to it. So I am thankful that we have very amazing firemen and police that are very competent and loving in this community, because my boys didn't mention this, so I'm gonna have to have a little fun when we go home. And then also, don't worry that this emergency alert thing is not gonna go away. We're gonna get someplace. I have children. I live in McNary. And I'm not saying anything bad about the school putting anything out whatsoever, nothing, because I appreciate it did get out that way. But my daughter, who is in 6th grade, did find out, and she started freaking out. She was terrified. She thought something was gonna come happen. I had to tell her, you're fine. God can protect you. You have brothers, you have dogs, you know. My 16-year-old actually went and was like, well, we better lock up all the doors now, Mom. And so they were kind of in this mode, you know, but it's kind of sad that it had to be, school had to put it out to where kids could see it, to get it out to the community, you know, and so believe us, this is not gonna go away. It'll get taken care of. So it's, even if it's just me being a mom in McNary trying to get this out of it, we'll get it taken care of for the community. And I have to say, the Christmas lights outside are amazing. I drove by the other night and I had a text Dave, I'm like, oh my gosh. I wasn't driving the taxi, I wasn't passing. But I had some, they're amazing. I love seeing them. And then the big original Christmas tree in McNary has all the big lights on it. I just want to come here and I think it's amazing. That's all I have to say.
Snow can stay away.
Yes, it's no good saving.
Yeah. Like so much is being said already, but I do just want to extend a gratitude and thank you to everyone who's here. I know not everyone spoke, which means we kind of just wanted to come to hear about the conversation, and I really support that and honor that, and hope you guys do come more. whether, we've always mentioned it, whether it's positive or negative, we want to hear it in the community. You know, I personally, I keep my Facebook private just because of security reasons with my family and whatnot, but at any point, if you guys, like Jan was saying, see me at the grocery store, the gym, or even just want to email me, I want to hear, and I want to be able to know what questions you have, so that way we know how to connect you to the right people, so that way you feel more confident in your community. And I hope it's being echoed with all of us as counselors that this has been something on our mind for a really long time. And so we're going to continue to see this through, but I appreciate you guys all coming to also express your concerns and
Councilmember Dennis.
Yeah, I also want to thank everybody and trust me, we all have kids or grandkids in the community, so we're all invested in this and we will, you know, definitely look into it. And we have the best first responders, you know, second to none in anywhere, you know, but we just have to have a little bit better protocols and, you know, a better system to relay messages out, but we will work on it because it's our family too. So, you know, but thanks for everyone for showing up because it shows we are a great community, a tight knit one, you know, where we care about each other and we want to get fixed. So thank you all for showing up.
Thank you. I'm just over here swimming in circles, a little joke, I'm feeling lame duck. So anyway, I love the passion in this community. I've always loved the passion in this community. When I walked in here tonight, I'm like, what's going on? My agenda doesn't indicate any reason why I'm. I love your passion. I thank you for coming. Just know that we do care and change will come. But and it takes far longer than anybody thinks it should. Even there's times when I first sat down here, we were working on the 6th Street revitalization project for 10 years before a shovel. And then when we finally get there, we realized, oh, the money that we budgeted no longer covers the expenses. Now we've got to go back and find more money. So it just takes forever to get done. But anyway, it will get done and be paid for. And I think one thing that got missed so far tonight is we've got a holiday coming up. Everybody is very welcome.
Yes. Great thing.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, at that point, no further comments or discussions, we're going to start motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn our regular scheduled meeting.
Thank you very much. Can I get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yeah, and now we're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Have a thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I would put in the apartment.